Parenting is easier when you stop doing this. Parenting is often described as the hardest job in the world. And yet, the truth is that much of the struggle comes not from the children themselves, but from the habits and patterns parents fall into without realizing it. Parents exhaust themselves thinking that if they just try harder, plan better, and control more, everything will go smoothly. But research in child development, neuroscience, and behavioral science shows that many daily parenting challenges stem from one hidden cause: doing too much for children instead of with them, over-controlling outcomes, or expecting constant perfection. When parents stop doing these things, parenting doesn't become effortless, but it becomes remarkably easier. The atmosphere in the home shifts, behavior improves, and stress decreases. Over-explaining everything. It is natural to want children to understand instructions fully. Parents often feel the need to repeat rules, justify every decision, and explain consequences in detail. But studies in developmental psychology show that children rarely benefit from excessive explanation. Their brains process information differently than adults, and long explanations can create confusion or resistance. Often, the simpler the instruction, the better the compliance. Saying shoes on, it is time to go works better than a 15-sentence explanation about why shoes are necessary, the dangers of being late, and the benefits of punctuality. Over-explaining drains energy, invites negotiation, and reduces the parent's authority simply because it signals uncertainty. Parenting becomes easier when instructions are clear, concise, and delivered once. Children respond to consistency more than to lengthy reasoning. Trying to control every outcome. Parents naturally want the best for their children, but constantly steering every decision creates tension. Research in autonomy development shows that children need space to experiment, make mistakes, and solve minor challenges independently. When parents micromanage homework, friendships, playtime, or even creative projects, children become less resilient and more dependent. Ironically, constant control leads to more arguments and more resistance. Letting go does not mean abandoning guidance. It means trusting children to navigate small decisions within safe boundaries. This shift reduces friction and helps children develop problem-solving skills naturally. Expecting perfection. Perfectionism is one of the quietest energy drainers in parenting. Parents who expect perfectly cleaned rooms, perfectly behaved children, or perfectly executed homework are constantly frustrated. Developmental research shows that children thrive under realistic expectations rather than idealized ones. When parents accept imperfection as part of growth, they stop punishing themselves and their children for normal mistakes. A spilled drink, a forgotten chore, or a short temper does not mean failure. It is part of learning. Parenting becomes easier when small errors are treated as temporary and repairable rather than catastrophic. Accepting imperfection frees up emotional bandwidth for meaningful engagement rather than endless correction. Reacting instead of observing. Parents often respond immediately to every behavior without pausing to interpret the underlying cause. Research in behavioral science shows that most challenging behavior is a form of communication. A child screaming at bedtime, refusing homework, or hitting a sibling is sending a message: I am tired, frustrated, overstimulated, or anxious. When parents react impulsively with discipline, it often escalates the situation. Observing first, decoding the message, and then responding strategically prevents repeated conflicts. Parenting becomes easier when the first instinct is curiosity rather than correction, when behavior is seen as information rather than rebellion. Rushing through transitions. Transitions are inherently stressful for children. Moving from play to homework, screen time to bedtime, or school to home requires cognitive and emotional adjustment. Parents who push transitions too quickly often encounter meltdowns, arguing, or withdrawal. Developmental studies suggest that giving children advance notice, visual cues, or brief countdowns significantly improves cooperation. A child does not resist because they are difficult, they resist because their brain is not ready to shift gears yet. Slowing down, giving warning, and allowing small moments for mental adjustment removes unnecessary friction. Parenting becomes easier because transitions stop being daily flashpoints. Fixing problems that aren't broken. Parents instinctively intervene when children struggle, but overfixing teaches dependency rather than independence. Studies on self-efficacy demonstrate that children who solve age-appropriate problems themselves develop confidence, resilience, and executive functioning skills. Stepping in too quickly, whether with homework, social issues, or conflict resolution, signals that children cannot handle challenges alone. This habit often increases behavioral pushback because children feel disempowered. Parenting becomes easier when parents provide support but allow children to navigate small difficulties on their own. Letting go in these moments creates space for growth without constant battle. Constantly comparing to others. Social comparison is one of the sneakiest stress amplifiers in parenting. Parents frequently look at peers, social media, or cultural standards and measure themselves and their children against unrealistic benchmarks. Research links social comparison to increased parental stress, lower satisfaction, and higher burnout. Parenting becomes easier when success is defined internally rather than externally. A quiet evening at home with healthy meals, a calm conversation, and mutual respect is far more meaningful than a Pinterest-perfect party or picture-perfect milestone. Releasing comparison reduces pressure, increases patience, and shifts focus to what actually matters. Neglecting parental energy. Many parents pour energy into children while ignoring their own needs. But developmental and psychological studies show that depleted parents are less patient, less consistent, and less emotionally available. Skipping meals, working through exhaustion, or ignoring rest negatively affects parenting outcomes. Protecting energy is not selfish, it is strategic. When parents prioritize sleep, nutrition, and brief recovery moments, their emotional regulation improves. Parenting becomes easier because energy is available when children demand attention, guidance, or support. A regulated parent fosters a calmer environment, reacting to emotions instead of co-regulating. Children, especially younger ones, are still learning to manage emotions. When a child is upset, impulsive, or frustrated, instinctive parental reactions can mirror the child's stress, raising voices, showing impatience, or offering lecture-style correction. Neuroscience shows that emotional flooding in children shuts down reasoning. Co-regulation, where the parent remains calm, steady, and supportive, helps the child learn to return to baseline. Overplanning, rather than flexibility. Many parents overcompensate with elaborate schedules, meal plans, or activity itineraries, believing structure equals success. While structure is helpful, rigid planning without flexibility often increases stress. Life with children is inherently unpredictable. Research on executive function and child behavior shows that parents who build and buffer time, adapt plans, and allow small adjustments experience less stress and better cooperation. Parenting becomes easier when plans are a framework, not a script. Flexibility allows responsiveness without chaos. Trying to be perfect all the time. The myth of the perfect parent is exhausting. Parenting literature and social media reinforce impossible standards. Research consistently links perfectionism with burnout, increased irritability, and reduced satisfaction. Parenting becomes easier when parents embrace authenticity over perfection. Accepting mistakes, showing humility, and modeling recovery from errors teaches children resilience while reducing parental stress. If this perspective helped you rethink daily parenting habits, like this video so other parents can stop the behaviors that make parenting unnecessarily hard. Subscribe for research-based, practical strategies that reduce stress and strengthen family connection. Share in the comments which habit you are committing to stop first, because change starts with awareness and conversation.